Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Look, I need to tell you something that's going to sound absolutely insane at first, but stick with me because this changes everything you think you know about success. We've all been sold this massive lie about productivity, and I'm about to expose exactly why you're spinning your wheels while other people are lapping you. Before we get into this, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and honestly, I need your support to make that happen. If this content helps you at all, just hit that subscribe button real quick. It genuinely makes a difference. So here's what nobody wants to admit. Everyone's obsessed with working harder, grinding more hours, hustling until they collapse. And meanwhile, the people actually winning are doing the complete opposite. They're working less. They're being more selective. They're saying no to almost everything. And that's the secret nobody's packaging up and selling you because it doesn't sound sexy enough. I've been studying high performers for years now, and the pattern is undeniable. The moment someone figures out what actually moves the needle versus what just makes them feel busy, everything changes. But here's the problem. Most people never figure this out because they're too caught up in the performance of productivity rather than actual results. Let me give you a concrete example. You wake up, check your emails, respond to messages, attend 3 meetings, work through lunch, answer more emails, maybe squeeze in some actual work and collapse at the end of the day feeling accomplished. You were busy for 10 hours straight, but what did you actually create? What did you move forward? Most of the time, absolutely nothing that matters. Now compare that to someone who blocks off 2 hours of deep work, ignores everything else, produces something valuable, and then strategically handles only the essential communications. They worked a fraction of the time, but created exponentially more value. That's not luck. That's understanding leverage. The real game is identifying your highest leverage activities and ruthlessly eliminating everything else. Not delegating, not optimizing, eliminating. Because every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that could actually change your trajectory. And most people are saying yes to garbage all day long without even realizing it. Here's where this gets controversial. The traditional advice about balance and doing a little bit of everything is designed to keep you average. Jack of all trades, master of none. You end up competent at a bunch of things that don't matter while never developing real expertise in the areas that could actually transform your career or business. Think about the most successful people in any field. They're not well-rounded. They're obsessively focused on their zone of genius, and they've systematically removed everything else from their plate. Steve Jobs wasn't balancing product design with accounting. Serena Williams wasn't splitting her time equally between tennis and hobbies. They went all in on what mattered, but everyone's terrified to do this because it feels risky. What if I cut out all these other things and just focus on one area and it doesn't work out? That fear keeps people diversified across a dozen mediocre pursuits instead of concentrated on the one thing that could actually break through. The mathematics of this are brutal but clear. If you spread your energy across 10 different priorities, you're giving each one 10%. Even if you execute perfectly, you're getting 10% results across the board. But if you identify the 1 or 2 activities that have asymmetric returns and pour everything into those, you can get 10 times or 100 times the results. That's not exaggeration. That's compound leverage. Now let's talk about why this is so hard to implement. Society is built to interrupt you constantly. Notifications, meetings, requests from other people, emergencies that aren't actually emergencies. Every single one of these is a small drain on your focus and energy, death by 1,000 cuts. And the people who haven't protected their time and attention are the ones who stay stuck. I see this play out in real time constantly. Someone starts a business or a creative project with genuine potential. They're excited and focused initially. Then the distractions creep in. They start saying yes to coffee meetings that go nowhere. They get pulled into collaborations that dilute their vision. They respond to every comment and message because they want to be helpful. And 6 months later, they're burned out with nothing substantial to show for it. The alternative approach is almost offensive in how simple it is. You decide on your one priority. The thing that, if you accomplish nothing else, would make everything else easier or irrelevant. Then you build your entire schedule around protecting time for that priority. Everything else gets batched, delegated, or deleted, no exceptions. When you actually do this, people get upset. They're used to having access to you. They expect immediate responses. They think their agenda should be your priority. And you have to be okay with disappointing them, because the cost of making everyone else happy is sacrificing your own potential. That's a trade most people make unconsciously every single day. Here's what changes when you flip the script. Your output quality skyrockets because you're working in deep focus states instead of constant context switching. Your stress decreases because you're not trying to juggle 17 things poorly. Your confidence increases because you're actually making measurable progress on what matters. And ironically, your value to other people increases because you're creating things worth paying attention to instead of just being available. But there's a darker side to this that we need to address. The productivity industrial complex doesn't want you to hear this message. They want to sell you apps and courses and systems that help you do more things faster. Because if you actually eliminated most of what you're doing, you wouldn't need their products. There's no money in telling people to do less. The real transformation happens when you audit your life with brutal honesty. Look at your calendar from the last month. How much of that time was spent on activities that genuinely moved you toward your goals? How much was obligation, distraction, or just motion without progress? For most people, it's terrifying. Maybe 10 or 20% was actually valuable. The rest was noise. Now imagine reclaiming that 80%. Imagine what becomes possible when you're spending 40 hours a week on high-impact work instead of 4. That's not a fantasy. That's what happens when you get serious about leverage and stop pretending that busy equals productive. The people who figure this out early have an unfair advantage that compounds over time. While everyone else is scattered across a dozen priorities, they're going deep on the few things that matter. While everyone else is accessible and reactive, they're creating and proactive. The gap widens every single day. So here's my challenge to you. Identify your one thing, the activity that creates the most value with the least input, the thing that if you did it consistently at a high level would change everything. Then restructure your entire life around protecting time for that thing. Cancel the meetings that don't matter. Stop responding to every message immediately. Disappoint the people whose expectations are holding you back. It's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to worry that you're missing out or letting people down. But 6 months from now, when you've made more progress than you did in the previous 3 years, you'll understand why this was necessary. The world doesn't reward scattered effort. It rewards concentrated excellence.